Hi, this is Ajay Anand and welcome to science classes from excelup.com. In this lesson, you will be learning about diversity in living organisms. This chapter has been taken from class 9th science. This is a pretty long chapter, so I have divided it into 4 parts. The first video will explain what is the need for classification. In the second video, I shall be discussing 5 kingdom classification as proposed by Robert Whittaker. In the third video, you will learn about details of various divisions of the plant kingdom, and in the fourth video, animal kingdom will be discussed along with binomial nomenclature proposed by Carolus Linnaeus. So let us begin with the need for classification. There are various regions which necessitate a proper system of classification for proper study of living beings. The earth is full of biodiversity and it is endowed with rich biodiversity. Biodiversity means the variety of flora and fauna in a given area. Okay, so there can be numerous species living even in a small area. For example, if you go to a neighborhood park and if you will try to count the number of species, you may end up to 100 species in a small space as a neighborhood park. So you can just imagine the large number of species which may be living in a forest. So the earth must be full of millions of species. Okay, so it is very difficult, or I would say it is almost impossible for a scientist to study each and every species. Moreover, presence of many languages, it further compounds the problem, because a particular animal or a plant may have different names in different languages. So let us take the example of a very common animal, that is the man's oldest friend, dog. The dog is a dog in English language. In Finnish language, it is called Kora. In Hawaiian language, the dog is called Ilio. In Hindi, it is called Kutta. Icelandic language, the dog is called Hundur. In Dutch language, the dog is called a hound. In German language, it is called a hund. In Hebrew, Caleb, and in Hungarian, Kotia. Okay, so 8 different languages, they have 8 different names for the dog, and in many countries there can be so many dialects or regional languages which will have their own term for a particular species. So this further will increase the headache of the scientist. So there is a need of uniformity of nomenclature as well, and that is why we need a proper system of classification and nomenclature of living beings. Now, what could be the basis of classification? Different philosophers and scientists tried different ways to classify living beings, and the parameters it kept on changing along with the time. So let us take the example of Aristotle. He classified the living beings based on their habitats. So he classified them as, say, land animals and aquatic animals. Now this can be quite convenient classification, but if you will talk about characters, then most of the land animals, they may not have common characters. For example, a cockroach or a horse, both are land animals, but they have very least amount of common characters, apart from the fact that both of them, they share the same habitat. Okay, the modern way of classification considers various parameters which are more scientific in nature and which pinpoint on set of characters. So here are some parameters. The first parameter is eukaryote versus prokaryote. So if a cell does not have nucleus and membrane bound organelles, then it is called a prokaryote, and organisms which have such type of cells, they are called prokaryote. So all the bacteria, they come under this category, the prokaryote. On the other hand, if the cell has nucleus and membrane bound organelles, then the cell is called eukaryote. So organisms except bacteria, all of them, they come under the eukaryote category. The next parameter can be the number of cells. So we have to see whether the organism is unicellular or multicellular, or in other words, if it is made up of just a single cell or more than one cell. Then you have to see the mode of nutrition. So whether the organism is autotroph or heterotroph, it can make its own food, or it depends on other organisms for food. In terms of autotroph, then you can further look for body design, the complexity of body design, whether the body design is simple or it is complex. For example, the complex design, it contains root, stem and leaf. The simple body design, it does not contain these structures. In case of heterotrophs, the scientists, they consider level of organization, whether the animal is at the cell level organization or tissue level organization or organ level organization. For example, human beings, they have organ system level organization. They have all the system in place. But on the other hand, if we talk about earthworm, so they have organ level organization, and then sponges, they have cell level organization. Classification and evolution. Classification is also related to evolution. So before proceeding further, let us understand what is evolution. The gradual development of complexity in organisms which resulted in more and more complex organisms is called evolution. So scientists, they have shown and they have proved that life on the earth evolved in simple form as unicellular living beings, and with passage of time, these living beings, they acquired adaptations and they underwent various changes which resulted in formation of new species, and from simple species to complex species like human beings, they evolved over the course of time. So in terms of simplicity, if an organism has simple structures, then it is considered to have evolved earlier than another organism which may have complex structure. So that is how classification is decided. So when you will study about hierarchy, okay, then what happens, that the earlier groups of organisms, they have simple structures, and later group of organisms, they have complex structures. And for example, you can take the example of say earthworm and human beings. So obviously human beings are more complex in body design compared to earthworm, so they are believed to have evolved at a later period compared to earthworms. Now hierarchy. So when classifying an organism, we need to remember these hierarchies, and from top to bottom they are kingdom, phylum or division in the case of plant kingdom, phylum is used in the case of animal kingdom, class, order, family, genus and species. Okay, so the members of a species, they will have the maximum number of common characters. Okay, so let us take the example of Homo sapiens, that is modern human beings. So all the human beings, whether they live in Africa or live in America or India, they have 99% common characters, apart from the difference maybe in skin color, hair color or height, okay, or accent or facial features, but all of them, they have common characters. And another important thing is that all of them are capable of interbreeding. That is the most important criteria for being the member of a particular species. Then if we move up to family, so human beings, Homo sapiens, belongs to the family Hominidae. The Hominidae contains those animals which are apes, and this family, it belongs to the order primates. Okay, so primates, it contains all the monkeys and apes, and apes, they come under Hominidae. So what is the difference between monkey and apes? All those animals which look like humans, if they are having tails, then they are put under the category of monkey, and those without tails, they are called apes. Okay, so now here you can see the dissimilarity, right? Then if you move to class, mammalia, then the common character is presence of mammary glands, presence of hairs on the body, then presence of external ears. So these features, they are present on cat, that is lion, leopard or tiger. Then in the dog family, horses, cows, but a cow is entirely different compared to monkeys or apes. So now you can see that the number of common characters, it is reducing as we are moving up the hierarchy. Then we come to the phylum, that is Chordata. So presence of vertebral column is there in Chordata, and kingdom is animal kingdom. Okay, so let us recapitulate. I talked about what is the need for classification, the sheer biodiversity and large number of species makes it necessary to have a proper system of nomenclature and classification. Then there are certain bases of classification like number of cells, mode of nutrition, organization of genetic material. Then I talked about the hierarchy of the classification system. So that's all for this lesson. Thank you.